The Thrivehood Podcast is a relevant life roadmap for boys and young men who want to thrive as they mature into manhood. I'll be your host, Tim Williams, and welcome to Thrivehood. Hey, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're listening in. Thrivehoodpodcast.com, thrivehoodpodcast.com. Check it out. Subscribe, download, tell your friends, sign up for email blasts, and we are off and running. So, I know that having feelings of loneliness and being alone and not understood, I get it. By the way, I don't know if you know this or not. This is an interesting little factoid about me. I used to be a teenager. Yes, that's right. I actually was a teenager once. I know. So I know that may freak you out some, but the reality is that what you're going through, you're not as alone as you think you are. And I think you should take some positiveness away from that. So let's dive into this a little bit. And I'm not going to bore you with sometimes I'll come at you with stats and research and data, and I don't want to do that. I just want to sort of talk to you today for a few minutes about this because I get it. It's a deep subject, right? I get it. There are a lot of you listening that you deal with this. But I hope after you're finished listening to this that you sort of take a sigh of relief and say, okay, all right, things aren't so bad. So here's the first thing. You're feeling like you're alone. And you're the only one that feels that way, right? That's the big one. That's the biggest one. Mom doesn't get me, dad doesn't get me, or dad's not around, or mom's not around, or, nobody listens, or I feel like my voice is lost in my home, or, my friends, I don't think they really understand me. I don't think they get it. They're all sort of, doing their thing, or I'm struggling in an area here, and it seems like I can't really talk to anybody. Can I give you some encouragement? Do you realize, if I'm speaking to the Generation Zers here especially, do you realize that everybody else around you is feeling the exact same way? They're feeling the very same thing you are, okay? Understand that you are not alone. If I felt that when I was growing up, I have buddies of mine that we've talked about it periodically. They feel like it. The research out there overwhelmingly says this is a very normal process for adolescents and young men growing up, girls too as well. Well, then if we have all of this data and all of this that supports it, guys, you're not alone. Don't think you're alone in this. And don't take this the wrong way, because I don't mean it this way, negative at all. But you're not special, okay? You're not. You are dealing with the same thing that your buddies are dealing with, and your friends, and millions of people that's come before you and will come after you and are dealing with it now. So I don't say that to be mean. What I'm trying to say is, let's drop it down a notch. It's very normal what you're feeling, and I know that you may not think that, but it's true that there are a lot of people that are dealing with this. Now, here's something else. Friendships. And I think there are a lot of cases where maybe there's a feeling of very surface level, very surface level relationships. There's not a lot of opportunity to go deep, if you want to call it that, or get into the weeds. It's another way they call it. And I guess I sort of get what is meant by that. But let me tell you that while that is true, and that's very possible that you're not having deeper relationships at this point in your life, let me tell you some good and bad. The bad news is those surface level relationships, they will always be there. You will grow up into adulthood and you will have those in adulthood. You will have to varying degrees types of relationships, from very deep to very shallow and everything in between. So that's not going to go away. You're learning about developing relationships, guys. It's as simple as that. The good news is that those relationships are okay to have. Those surface relationships are fine to have, because as you're developing relationships, you're being able to sort of categorize the different men and women that come into your life and where they sort of land in your relationship. I don't know if you call it a drawer or whatever, but you get what I'm saying. You will always have the surface level. You'll have sort of the medium medium level relationships. You're going to have some that are very deep. They're very far and few between, but you'll have those. You'll even have just acquaintances, just people that you run into every so often. So understand that you are moving into adulthood, and part of that is learning about what types of friendships and relationships are developing. And they run the gamut, guys. It's across the board. Here's something else that I think you're dealing with, and maybe this will help. When you and when all of us were young, okay, you sit down with your parents or guardians or whatever, you pull out those pictures of when you were 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 years old, right? 4 years old. And you realize something. There was no filter, okay? You didn't have a filter. I didn't have a filter. What do you mean by that? Well, you're running around with a cowboy hat on and a sword in your hand and sneakers that looks like have been worn by your dad for 30 years. And you got a diaper that's half hanging off of you. Okay, and you think you're the greatest thing since, I don't know, John Wick, all right? You just think you're just the coolest thing out there running around and you're just having life is wonderful. No filter, nothing there at all, right? Your hair's messed up. You could have food on your face. Your clothes don't match. And guess what? You could care less, right? Am I right? Come on. Am I right? Say yes. Yes, he's right. Right. Well, what happened? What happened was everybody else in your age bracket started looking at everybody else and going, hey, wait a minute. His shoes match. Maybe my shoes ought to match. And you're looking at him going, well, he doesn't run around in his underwear anymore. He's got some cool ripped jeans on that. I wonder do you see what I'm saying, guys? Are you seeing what's happening? You're developing and by the way, this is peer pressure. This is all that it is. We don't call it that, but that's what it is. We're recognizing those that are in our age group and realizing, hey, wait a minute, man. I got to sort of get my act together here. I got to sort of grow up. People are not going to respect me, and I'm not going to be credible if I don't sort of grow up a little bit. And there's truth to that, right? We have to grow up. There's an important lesson there in that. But what's happening is that as you are now developing into the next stage of your life, it is a whole new ball game. You've never been there before, right? You've never been a teenager. You've never been a 12 or 13-year-old boy, 14, 15, right? This is all new to you. So understand that you are now identifying and realizing, hey, I am growing up, I'm becoming an adult, and I need to sort of figure out who I am. And here it is, guys. You're feeling lonely because you're still trying to figure out your own identity. That's yet another part of it. And guess what? Everybody else around you is doing the exact same thing. Well, he wears that. Well, he wears his hair like this. Well, he hangs around with them. Well, he does that. Well, he plays that sport. Well, he doesn't care about that. And so what's happening is you are shifting back and forth, left and right, in and out. You're trying to figure out where's your place in this world is what it comes down to. There's a great song by that, by the way. Where's your place in this world? That's what you're doing. Your trepidation about yourself makes it very difficult for you to connect. Guess what? Other Generation Zers, teenagers, are going through the exact same thing. So what does that mean? That's like a double whammy, okay? You're trying to figure out who you are. He's trying to figure out who he is, or she's trying to figure out who she is, and you two have somehow got to come together and figure out how to work through all of the loneliness and confusion and who am I and who are you and what are you about and why are you here and what's this, what was the reason I'm here? All of that's being worked out while you're just trying to get to know somebody. You're also working through all of these different levels of trying to identify who you are. So as I close this out, let's look at some practicalities here. The first thing is, more along the lines of, what do you do? What do I do if I'm feeling lonely? Well, there's about 2 or 3 different categories. It's hard to just generalize that, and there's probably more categories than the 3 I'm bringing up, but for the sake of time, I guess the first challenge is simply just needing to get past this, needing to get over this feeling of loneliness and overcoming your fears to get out of your way, your own way almost, get out there and mingle. Start moving forward. Move past the fear, move past the loneliness, move past the you trying to identify yourself. The way you're going to do that is get out there and to start telling your story. And listen, you're not going to believe this, but people do want to hear your story. They do want to know who you are, where you've come from, and why you're here, and all this craziness, and what your dreams are. They do, because it gives them an opportunity to say something to you, to tell you their story. And then boom, dialogue is happening, and there you go. So my first recommendation, again, you've heard Uncle Tim, I always say, I am not qualified in anything, so you can't hold me accountable. I'm just trying to give you just some good old advice. I think you should get out there and get yourself involved and have conversation, because I think it will result in you figuring out who you are, interacting with others, and seeing what you like and what you don't like. If this is a problem of you having no friends, okay, we're talking about a different level. We're talking about a different issue here. Get involved in activities outside of your school, outside of just going to school and coming home, and definitely get outside of social media, okay? I don't know, maybe there's a chorus club, robotics classes, Sea Cadets. We did an interview with Bill Sadler about the Sea Cadets program. Great program. Maybe that's something that you should consider. Football, soccer, rugby, a book club, a youth group. Anything that you can get involved in that will open you up to some other people and some other avenues and thoughts and ideas as well. I think it would help you tremendously. Now look, here's the third one, and the one that I can't really speak to. If there's a deeper issue, if there's a deeper problem, if there's something else that maybe is more on a mental health level, then you should get some help. You should be speaking to your parents or your guardians. You should be getting online and finding somebody that maybe you can call and reach out to. I tell you that I got to continue to say this message because I want you to hear me. You aren't alone. Even though you feel you are, you're not alone, okay? Trust me, you're not alone, because there are thousands and millions of kids that are feeling the pain just like you are. Until next time, guys, stay strong.